Welcome to the IonaHoops.com podcast with your host, Guy Flatico.
What's up, Gale Nation? It's Season 5, Episode 7 of the IonaHoops.com podcast, and we've got some stuff to unpack here today. First of all, I'm going to plug us again here. Like and subscribe. If you're listening to this podcast, it's going to be a bumpy road, people, but let me take you for the ride with me here. And we've got some stuff to cover here for sure. This will be a true episode of the State of the Gales, but we also will have one Iona that I'll have to cover as well. But like and subscribe us. Like and subscribe to this podcast. If you're still listening, you are an Iona fan. I have a feeling hashtag Ledge Life is up and alive after what we've seen to our 0-2 start to the season, even though 0-2 is exactly what I predicted that we would be at this point. Anyway, we move on and we start with an Iota. Remember now, if you guys recall, for the Iona Iotas, I had a contest on Twitter and I threw it on the message board as well. People who came closest to picking my record on opening night against the spread. Brian Heafy picked 6-4. I actually went 7-3. Nah. Of course, I'm under 500 now. Anyway, but the contest was that they would have their own Iota. So here comes our Iona with Brian Heafy, a.k.a. Bro Guy.
Iotas.
Bro Guy here. I was in attendance tonight. I had a great time meeting up with some friends. Obviously not the result we were hoping for. And while there's certainly a lot to nitpick, it's just too early to do so in my opinion. Got about a minute here, so the rest of this is aimed at Coach Anderson, who may or may not hear this. Hopefully he does. I'm probably one of the younger guys on the Iona board, but my fandom still goes back nearly 30 years. Son of an Iona grad and great nephew of a Christian brother who taught at Iona for many years, both huge Iona Hoops fans. Ruland, multiple MAC titles. Willard probably would have won if he stayed here. Klus, the greatest coach in MAC history. Patino, he left a sour taste in our mouth, but still multiple MAC titles. Iona wins, simple as that. And coach, don't take this the wrong way, but down the road, I hope you leave this program, because that would mean you stamped your legacy and passed the torch just like all the Iona coaches I mentioned. I got all the faith of you in the world. This team is full of dogs. Lead them in the hunt, and let's bring home another title. Let's go, Gales.
All right, let's get to the State of the Gales. Well, like I said, a lot to unpack. We can talk about the Princeton game here and the Hofstra game. Hey, 0-2 is what I expected. Princeton game, of course, led to a whole lot of optimism, at least. Although, again, there were plenty of fans out there saying "same old Gales." I don't know how you could say that when we lose by 1 at a team that's projected to be in the top 75. That said, I can see the concerns after losing by 14 at Hofstra, being down 20. Nice comeback to get it to 6. What I've said all along, and I think we know this, if there's one thing about Tobin's system that I think we kind of realize right now, it's an energy system, meaning that, with the energy on defense, it creates the opportunities on offense, and just, you have to make some shots for that to happen. You have to get stops for that to happen, and we haven't seen a lot of the stops. So the defense has been the biggest concern after 2 games, without a doubt. 80 points against Princeton, 90 against Hofstra. It's just not there. And well, I don't have to tell you all this. We can let Tobin tell you. Here is the full presser from Tobin. Believe me, it's not that long. He didn't give us too much time last night. I think he's a little ticked off, and rightfully so. So here's Tobin in the presser last night.
Coach. Yeah, congrats to Hofstra. I thought they had edge to them. I thought the guys, I thought they were just more competitive than us, tougher than us. Took it to us a little bit, physically took it to us a little bit, a little more aggressive, and played very well, so credit to Hofstra.
Tobin, you cut it to 6 late in the second half. The press was starting to wear them down a little bit. You got a little more physical, and what happened after that, I think?
I think we probably just got run out of steam a little bit. I'm very disappointed. We got back to 6, but the first 30 minutes were not very good at all, how we played. Listen, this is a we're gonna get it figured out. I did not like how we played the first 3 minutes as far as being unselfish, as far as our defensively. I mean, they scored 90 points on us. You know, you're not winning any games. Princeton got 81 and Hofstra got 90 on us right now. We're a better defensive team than we're playing right now, so we got to figure that out.
One of the bright spots I thought was Kieran Bundy. You talk about how he played today.
It plays his tail off, man. I mean, quite frankly, we need more guys that play as hard as Kieran Bundy does. Kieran Bundy plays his tail off. He plays so hard, and we're missing guys right now who are injured who play hard. We don't play hard enough right now. Like, that's part of the process when you have new guys. How hard you have to play to win at this level. You know, I think there's a little bit of like, okay. We played Princeton pretty tough, which I'm surprised by because that was not the message for the coaches. We actually had a good practice on Wednesday, but we acted like we're going to walk in here and just play well by showing up. And I thought Hofstra just took it to us. They were just took punches in the face, and we didn't handle it well, which is going to happen. It's the second game of the season, right? We know this is going to be a process. So I wish the process was a little bit easier. We have tough kids in that locker room. I did not think we played tough tonight.
Where are you at, you think, in that process? I mean, it's only 2 games, obviously.
2 scrimmages, 2 games, right?
Yeah,
Rupert
yeah.
didn't play the first 2 scrimmages, so I wish we had 15 scrimmages, but we don't have that, right? So you got to figure it out. So that's what we're going to work our tail off to get it figured out. I mean, listen, I don't think we're that far away at all. You know, sometimes you have nights like this, and it's a learning experience, and you know, don't waste the opportunity to get better. So we'll learn from this. We'll get better.
Clarence was a little more assertive in the second half. How much do you need him to pick up more of the tempo, especially on a night where the guards don't have it like tonight?
Yeah, I mean, he's got to be a leader for us. I mean, DeJour's got to be better for us too. You know, we've gotten beaten by some couple of good guards defensively. Have hurt us so far. The kid from Princeton, Lee, really hurt us. And then I thought Cruz and Gene were fantastic. Sanders was kidding. I mean, those guys killed us tonight. So yeah, we got to guard better. We have got to guard better. I mean, and I'm really upset about that because that was something. When this team can guard, we're just not guarding right now. So it's got to get better.
The press really struggled. A lot of layups for Hofstra. What went wrong in your run? What did you see?
Yeah, we're just not connected, right? We're like where there's a trap, and then we're rotating. We shouldn't rotate. We're just not connected, you know. And it takes time, you know. So we tried to the press off for a little bit in the first half. You saw like the last 6 minutes, and tried to play in the half court, and that wasn't any better either. So I think it's just more of how we're playing both in the press and defensively. We're just not very connected. Right now, it'll get better, you know. That's what it has to.
Looking ahead to Tuesday, home opener against Delaware. What are you hoping for to start that game, and what do you want to see more of?
I just want to get back to practice. You know, we'll practice. We'll take tomorrow off. Go back on Sunday. We got to get better. You know, I mean, every chance we can. We can't waste a day to get better. So yeah, I mean, I think we got to start guarding at a higher level. You know, that's it.
So, like I said, the defense has been the problem. And as Tobin said about 12 times in those 3 minutes or so, the same thing. The press wasn't there. Hofstra had a layup line. We all got nauseous watching our half-court defense give up layup lines. So at least this is in press. Anyway, the press has just not been there. Guys aren't rotating where they need to be. And it just has to, you know, presses have to really be intricately done to work well consistently. Yeah, you're going to have breakdowns and the team's going to score and get a dunk and things like that every now and then, but we're just seeing way too much of that. We did play a little bit better in the half court and make them work for it, but Hofstra's got a lot of offensive talent. Really, really sucks watching 3 former Gales put up double-digit scoring. Somebody tweeted at me last night the 2 best players on the team on the court were both former Gales, Cruz Davis and Gene Aranguren, and it's hard to argue with that. Although Clarence Rupert had a heck of a game, but those guys really just took over. We had no answers for for the perimeter game, and that's the second game in a row that kind of happened where. We saw at Princeton, we saw Xavier Lee kind of take over down the stretch and put us away, in essence. And we had no real answer to stop him. And we saw that last night. We got, again, I was pretty impressed that we battled back. When you're down 20 in the second half, it's easy to pack it in. And they didn't. That the energy finally sparked at that point. Kieran Bundy sparked it. He was absolutely tremendous. His numbers aren't going to show a whole lot. He had 7 points and I think 4 boards. But his energy brought them back all the way. They got it down to 6. I think it was at the rough final media. And then Cruz Davis scored, one-on-one basketball twice in a row, and then they, after that, Gurin had a steal. But yeah, we need to have guys who make stops. Is the answer to that Jalen Barr when he's back? I hope so, because somebody's got to shut down the other team's best player in those situations. But we're just not getting the defense. Our guys couldn't penetrate last night. Their guys could, and that opens up the shooting percentage differences that you saw. Princeton wasn't able to go to the basket as easily as that, but they made shots in general. And, again, they have two great players as well. But again, we, know that there are teams out there that are going to have, especially in the non-conference, they're going to have better players on the floor than us. But we're supposed to be making up for that with the energy, with the defense, with the toughness. I think we did get punked a bit last night against Hofstra, particularly. I mean, Hofstra was killing us even on the glass. So we had to go smaller just to be able to contend. And most of the second half, when we made our run, we were kind of doing it with four guards, and this is a team that's starting 6'7", 6'8", 6'8". We start with Biggie at the 3 and Moondy and Rupert in the front court. And that's a good size lineup. And they were just we just got punked. And so they're going to have to be a bit tougher, but yeah, it's thankful we have guys, like Rupert, definitely like Rupert, but Bundy just came in and brought some great energy, did spark things a bit. Everybody kind of picked up their game when we started to get stops and we started to turn them over a little bit. And, that's how this team is going to flow. They have to, you can't always have energy for 40 minutes. It's hard to do. But what you need to do is be able to get enough out of your offense and just be able to rely on basic half-court defense to just make sure that big runs don't happen. I'd have to go back and look. I'm pretty sure Hofstra's run late in the game to put us away was 9-0. I don't remember if they had a run, a kill shot, that's for Sam Fetterman, of 10 or more. But, there were definitely some spurts where Hofstra had obviously built the lead, so they obviously had runs in there. We need to come up with ways to not let that happen. There's bad stretches. College basketball is a very ebb and flow game, and we all know that. But we've got to stop these big runs from their opponent. And you have to do what you usually have to do that is your defense. You rely on your defense to come up with a play when the offense isn't clicking. And we have not been able to do that. We haven't been able to stop ball penetration. We're not defending the 3. Again, this is, people are going to read this as an excuse, and it's not an excuse in the sense of, this is the only reason why this is happening. But, Princeton's really, really good. I have a feeling Hofstra is going to be pretty darn good before this year is out too. They weren't projected to be super high in the CAA, but I think after last night, people are putting them in the title hunt. And again, these are both leagues that are better than the MAC, far better than the MAC. Take a look at the MAC non-conference scores. I still think we're going to be fine in this league. The MAC has been brutal, absolutely brutal non-conference, except for our friends up north, Siena. Go, hey, all right, yay. So, guys, just chill out. I know Ledge Life is in full effect. If you're listening to this, you probably haven't given up yet, which is nice. I know many people probably, I know I can picture the people on Twitter who already have. There are people who are just convinced already that Tobin's not the answer and all of that after 2 games and after 1 season and 2 games. They think, seeing some patterns like last year is concerning. I still think, it's an entirely new roster. Can we at least give it some time and see how it plays out before you form an opinion? Because right now there's just not enough data to make that assessment and say, yep, it's last year all over again. You just can't. And you also have to, again, remember the quality of the opponent. And I know you guys want to do well in non-conference. That's how you get your net rankings up and all that, so that you have a decent seed. If you do win the MAC tournament, if you have a terrible record non-conference and then you win the MAC, you're going to be at 15 or 16 anyway. Probably not going to have a great chance to win a game. I get all of that. Can we just worry about that later at this point? It's still. Look at something. Would you rather play a Division III school? No offense to Quinnipiac or some of the other MAC teams that Quinnipiac's doing it officially, but other MAC teams are doing it too, filling out their schedule with, D2s or D3s at home. In games that count, by the way, these aren't exhibitions. Like Quinnipiac played the other night. I mean, did Quinnipiac gain anything from that? Other than some confidence. Yay, they beat somebody, hooray! Would you rather us do that than play really good teams? I'd kind of rather this. Now, also remember too, guys, I did have quite a few people on for our MAC previews, from August, September, October. And you guys, if you listen to all of those, you heard me ask them, hey, should Iona fans worry if we start off, 1-4, 1-5 or whatever? And they all said no. And I'm telling you the same thing. We might start like 1-5. Look at the teams we're playing. And how they've done so far this year. This is not an easy stretch. So guys, you just got to relax and just let it play out a little bit. I've been trying to prepare you for the fact that we weren't going to just start the season and win a whole bunch of games. I would have liked to have played better last night. And I think certainly if we lost a close game, there would have been some grumbling. I think the manner of the loss bothers some people, and it bothers me. I don't want you guys to think I'm blind to all this. And, I've heard people say, well, I need to have access to Tobin, so I can't say anything bad. I feel the same way Tobin does. The defense has been terrible. What do you want me to tell you? I mean, it's got to get better. Of course it has to get better. And it will. I expect it to, because the types of kids that he brought in are made, again, how you rotate, how you do this, how you do that. All those things just take time. And when you don't have any continuity in your roster, it's much harder than you think. And those who just think you just plug and play, it just doesn't work like that. It's not realistic to just think we're going to have everything clicking. Now, somebody on the Iona board said, well, Hofstra had a lot of new guys. They're clicking. Hofstra has more talent on their roster. I mean, they're in a bigger league than we are. Yes, they are. The CAA is a bigger and better league than the MAC. It has been for most years since the two leagues have formed. I mean, it's the truth. It's the truth. Hofstra went to that league for a reason. I mean, they found a good home there. They were able to get Cruz Davis. We lose Gene Aranguren to Hofstra. He didn't transfer down or laterally. That was an up transfer for him, and he's looked tremendous. He looked like he looked like he was a senior last night. He looked like he grew up so much, from last season to this season. So kudos to him for that. And I hope he got a bigger bag, because I'm curious. I don't know what Hofstra's NIL looks like. Guys, it's so hard to try to keep you guys positive. I know, but you guys, I've said this before on the boards. I've said it on Twitter. My role's always kind of been to keep you guys even, and I try to do that. If when you guys start to get, when Iona's rolling and doing things wonderfully, and I'm thinking of certain times during the Patino era, during the Close era. You guys would just get so delusional about what we should be. And I would say, guys, we're Iona, we're in a small conference, we're in a small gym, we have a small fan base, relax. And then now times like this, when you guys are, let's fire the coach, we're terrible, all of this. Now my job is to say, guys, relax. There are a lot of MAC teams in a lot worse shape than we are. And this is why you play these games, to see what the holes are. So I think after the slate we're going through, we're going to have a pretty good idea of where we are and how good we actually are. I don't want to go 0-11. I obviously in the 11 non-conference games, I'm not saying that. But there's a realistic chance. I think I picked us to go 5-6. I think 4-7 is realistic too. But I did have a start in this 0-2, so that's why I'm not panicking. Yes, I did not like the way last night went. I did like the comeback. I thought, they didn't have to, you're down 20 second half. It takes something to come back and make it a game. Maybe they had nothing left in the tank at that point. It's hard to say. Too big a hole. But the hole was created by the lack of D. So it is the issue for sure. All right, let's move on to the next two games, Delaware and Vermont, both at home. That's another thing. I mean, Tobin has said publicly, I want to be perfect. I want to go undefeated at home. Well, it's going to start right away. I mean, is Delaware a must-win game for us? In some ways, it might be. You can't go 0-3, and Delaware might be one of the weaker teams on the non-conference slate. So I think they do kind of have to find a way to win this game no matter what. So, I mean, it's doable. I mean, Iona will be favored. That'll be the first time this year we'll be favored. And it's a game that they've got to figure it out, and we should see improvement on defense. I think it'll be a focal point between now and Tuesday. And then after that is Vermont. I mean, Vermont is really good. They've had an uneven start to the year. They won at UAB, and Greg Gordon beat the Blazers down there, which was, wow, that's impressive. And then they got absolutely throttled by a really good Auburn team. When you go on the road, you don't know what's going to happen ever. And I think the same is true for Vermont, even though Vermont is at this point better than us. But they're coming into a road game. And if we fix some stuff against Delaware, we're feeling good about ourselves, certainly it's possible that we can take down Vermont in that game. Then after that, we got some fun ones for sure following that. And then, hey, I hope we're doing it in a much better place by the time we get down to the Bahamas in 3 weeks or so. 3 weeks? Yeah, just about. So anyway, those are going to be tough games. We know that. We'll be back in a week. So it'll be after the Vermont game. We'll have another State of the Union. I'm going to try to see if Jaden Daly will join me for that. And if not, it'll probably just be me solo. And we'll look ahead to the games that will follow that. Because we'll have West Virginia and Cornell after that. So lots of tough ones coming, people. Keep the faith. I get it. Hashtag Ledge Life. It's what fans do. It's what fans do. And that's fine. But to me, to bail and just have all these assumptions 2 games in is nonsense. So check yourself, people. I mean, a little bit of poise. You want these guys to be poised? Be poised yourself as a fan and just chill out, show some maturity, and let's just see where this goes before assuming the worst. I think that's the best thing we can all do as fans. And I think the best thing you guys can do is keep listening to this podcast because, well, hey, I can use the listeners. Anyway, if you're still listening, like I said, if you haven't bailed on the program, good for you. Spread the word about this podcast. Tell your friends about it. Let's see if we can grow this thing. Let's see if we can get Gale Nation out there a little more. And yeah, let's get some wins on the table next time out. Thank you all for listening. And if you are listening, I hope if you got this far, you are. Thank you all for listening. And we will see you next time in about a week. Go Gales.
Thank you for listening to this edition of the IonaHoops.com podcast. This podcast is a production of IonaHoops.com and its publisher Guy Filatico. The opinions shared during this podcast are those of Guy Filatico, IonaHoops.com, and any featured guests. This podcast is not affiliated with Iona University Athletics or the university itself. Thank you for supporting IonaHoops.com.